It's Monday, December 6th, and this is now on HNN. Severe weather continues to pummel parts of Hawaii as forecasters warn of possible catastrophic flooding.
The light, we just lost power.
Many have been left in the dark as crews rush to make repairs, and damage reports from this storm are already coming in from several locations around the state. We have extensive team coverage coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon. We are tracking severe weather here in the H&N Digital Center as a Kona low sweeps across the state.
That's right, and it's not over yet. We want to bring in Guy Hoggy with the latest forecast. So what can we expect for the state, Guy?
Yeah, you're not joking when you say it's not over yet. In fact, I think the worst is yet to come. If you follow the computer models, which have been very consistent since last week, it looks like Kauai and Oahu in for the worst weather coming tonight. Now, look how big that storm system is. Also, what you can see, there are thunderstorms firing up in many parts across the state. Right now, over on the Big Island, there's a thunderstorm just out over the ocean near Hilo, and you got a line of heavy rainfall going in through Pahala. Fairly dry for Maui, for the Big Island right now, but it's very cloudy and they still could get some heavy rainfall. Maui County in for a break. They're a little bit of a lull. Now this morning and last night, they got swamped with more than 10 inches of rain. That's why Kihei got flooded. They had cars actually reported being swept into the ocean from what we understand. And you can see more heavy rain in for the south side. Now the funny thing is, parts of Maui County suffering from extreme to exceptional drought. So even though the rain is beneficial, this is too much rain. Most of the rain is lost to just runoff and going out into the ocean. But it will help to some extent those drought conditions. Now here in Oahu, we've got a break as well, although you can see really stormy out near Makaha and over towards Mokuleia. Now over on Kauai, they're getting a lot of rain as well. Not heavy rain right now, light to moderate showers. But look at what's down to the south of Maui and of Kauai and Oahu. Thunderstorms, big batch of heavy rainfall, thunderstorms capable of flooding conditions. And keep in mind that the ground is very saturated across the state right now, so you don't need a lot of rain to cause flooding. Now the winds are also been an issue, right? We've had spotty power outages from last night through today for many parts of the state. And because the winds will be swirling around from the south around those storms, we'll get some very, very powerful winds, which could lead to more power outages. So Monday, not looking good. And the thing that's not looking good is that on Tuesday, we're expecting similar conditions as well. Now, there's some impacts to the surf, very big on the south shore. Dangerous, choppy, and sloppy. North shore is 10 to 15 feet on that dying swell. That high surf advisory continues for that swell. So stormy conditions today and tomorrow with south-southeasterly winds, pretty gusty. Now, because of that storm system, there's still a handful of weather alerts telling us that it's a dangerous situation out there. There's a flood watch that's posted for the entire state until tomorrow evening. That tells me, and the point of a flood watch is to say that conditions are prime for flooding conditions to develop anywhere in the state. And this is until tomorrow evening. There is a more important flood advisory, meaning minor flooding is now occurring. That's for us here in Oahu until 1:45. There's also a statewide wind advisory. Some places could get wind gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour. And like we saw last night and this morning, that could lead to downed trees as well as more power outages. And there's also something else. There's a coastal flood statement. With regard to that big swell, there's also big tides. So we got coastal erosion happening for many parts of the state as well, especially for us here on the North Shore.
Right, and we were talking earlier, you said that there could be a long period of rain for Oahu coming up, right?
Yeah, the computer models have been very consistent in pointing out the roughest time for Kauai and Oahu is tonight through tomorrow midday. So that's like more than 10 hours of consistent rainfall, heavy rainfall. And like I said, the ground's saturated, so it won't take much for flooding to occur.
All right, guys. Guy Hoggy, thank you so much for joining us here on This Is Now for that live update. Want to take you out somewhere else live. I'm going to pull up the shot for us right now because we have Chelsea Davis standing by on Maui with some damage reports she needs to share. Chelsea, what's going on?
Yeah, Jonathan, I'm in Kihei right now in South Maui near the intersection of South Kihei Road, which is behind me, and Honolulu Street. You can see the road here is completely covered in mud and water, and that truck that you see in the distance, I'm not sure if you can see it, but that truck there is stuck. So hopefully help is on the way for them. This road is closed. In fact, several roads out here are closed because Kihei, South Maui, is experiencing severe flooding. So folks, try your best to just stay indoors. This is not the time to be out on the roads. We want to show you video from other parts of the island as well. Now this is video taken on Honopi'ilani Highway near West Maui. You can see just rainwater gushing down the cliffs onto the roads. Maui police actually posted this on their Facebook page along with a warning for people again to stay off of the roads. And then farther out west in Ka'anapali, someone captured a tree crashing down at the Hyatt Regency. Now this was taken around 8 o'clock last night, and this just shows you how strong the winds were last night. Now also in Kihei overnight, video was sent to us at Kihei Bay Vista condos along South Kihei Road. We're told several cars were swept toward the ocean side of the complex. The man who took this video at Kihei Bay Vista condos tells us that the water was about 3 feet high. You can see several cars pushed up against each other. And then also Kahului Airport experienced an hours-long power outage last night. I was actually stuck on the plane on the runway for about 2 hours before having to deplane on the tarmac and then enter a pitch black airport using our cell phones as flashlights, find our way to baggage claim. And that's when we're told the generators finally kicked in and the power came back on around 7:30 last night. And then after that, we still experienced a short blackout shortly after. The lights quickly came back on, but again, the lights were on, the baggage claim carousels weren't working, so it was just chaos last night at the airport. I experienced that firsthand back out here live in Kihei. Again, you can see this road completely covered in mud and water. And again, folks, just stay indoors today. This is not safe to be out traveling on the roadways. That's the latest from Maui. I'll send it back to you folks.
All right, joining us now from the National Weather Service is Bob Ballard, meteorologist here. Bob, I just want to start out with something simple, and I hope you can help me out with, what is a Kona low?
A Kona low is a big low pressure area. This is the type of system that affects us during the wet season. Usually it gets cut off from the mid-latitude wind flow, and so these Kona lows, they don't move very fast. When they get close to the islands, they hang around in our vicinity for a while, and they bring up copious amounts of tropical moisture from the equatorial regions up toward Hawaii. So we shift from our normal trade winds and nice weather to lots of moisture, lots of showers and thunderstorms coming up over the state.
So is this at all typical for wet winter La Nina weather?
It is. Yeah, and you know, we have been sort of talking about the last few months expecting a shift from drier weather to wetter weather. And so we're kind of thinking that that's what we're seeing, and that we may see a few more of these systems as we go through the holiday season and then on into past the new year. This is the time of year when we would expect to see this anyway, but with the La Nina, it's more likely that we'll see more of these kinds of systems.
And let's talk about the Valley Isle. Everyone's always worried about the drought there. They're concerned about the drought there. Will this really help or hurt?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to help them in some ways. Any moisture is good, and they're getting a lot of rain. We've had over a foot of rain already in upcountry Maui at our Kula gauge. And so it is helpful, but we would really prefer it not to be the inches per hour type rainfall, where you're just getting a ton of rain rather than that kind of steady, soaking, moderate rain that really can get in. That said, you know, we've had really bad drought conditions over parts of Maui and the Big Island, and this will help.
What's the National Weather Service calling for over the next 48 hours? If you could recap us on that.
Yeah, so we're starting to see activity get a little more aggravated and intense near Oahu during the day today. We are going to continue to see that trend where heavy showers and thunderstorms are probably going to consolidate closer to Kauai and Oahu, and maybe a little less so around Maui and the Big Island, although we're not ready to say that they're out of the woods yet. Another thing is that Maui and the Big Island, the fact that they've already had so much rain there, it would not take a lot of additional rainfall coming up from the south to cause big time problems in areas which have already seen 9 to 12 inches of rain in some spots. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And then as we head toward the middle of the week, all of this moisture is going to start to shift to the west as the Kona low begins to move away. And so we may get one more good push across the western main islands. And then I think we're going to be back to trades during the middle to the latter half of the week. We'll get more sunshine, more typical weather for the 808 state.
Bob Ballard, thank you so much from the National Weather Service.
All right. Take care. Everybody be safe.
We also have an update from Maui Mayor Mike Victorino. Here's his message for residents about the severe weather.
We're asking people to be calm and to be using some common sense, stay home, but try not to use too much of the services so that we have a chance to reboot and get our systems up and running again.
We want to continue our team coverage by tossing it over to Sammy Solina, who has more on the conditions and damage we're seeing here on Oahu.
Many areas have experienced power outages and stormy conditions already. We know that this has been going on for more than 24 hours and severe weather is expected to continue. Let's take a look at what happened over the weekend on Oahu. Waikiki's main drag had huge puddles. Strong waves brought on by some of this big energy broke glass in a home in Ka'ava. A couple in Lanikai found their canoes scattered on the beach when they went paddling. This is the view from Kaka'ako looking toward Honolulu Harbor. You can see just how windy it was last night in some parts of the island. You can see the wind was being very forceful with that downpour and how gusty it was on that lanai. Not too far, we have a shot of Alawai Harbor last night, and same story, wind and rain coming down hard. It was some really bad conditions for drivers and for folks that found themselves outside. There are emergency shelters open in anticipation for more severe weather. There at Kalakaua District Park, Makaha Community Park, Sunset Beach Park, and Kailua District Park. And on Sunday, the governor urged residents to be cautious and be prepared as the severe weather is expected to continue. Sammy Solina, Hawaii News Now.
And check out this new video we just got into our newsroom this morning from the North Shore of Oahu. It appears that the scaffolding at the Haleiwa Challenger got knocked around in those strong winds. And we've also learned this.
Weather delay advisory right now.
Hawaiian Airlines is issuing a travel waiver for those flying to and from the state. The travel waiver is for those who are flying between yesterday and tomorrow. Hawaiian Air said tickets must be rebooked by December 14th. Change fees have been eliminated as part of a new policy that began last year. Big Island Mayor Mitch Roth has already declared a state of emergency because of the potential of this severe weather. They're already dealing with power outages and water outages there. Here's what he had to say.
Activated our emergency operations center here at Civil Defense. We've had pretty much all of our primary agencies in traffic. We have the police, fire, Civil Defense, we've been parks. Everybody kind of got together and we're looking at the situation.
In Pahoa yesterday, winds were strong enough to knock trees down onto cars. And stay with Hawaii News Now for continuing coverage on this severe weather. Download that severe weather app if you have not already. We're also going to be providing you with updates throughout the day on your H&N digital platforms.
The Secretary of the Navy will be holding a press conference today about the tainted water crisis. This comes after Governor Ige and Hawaii's congressional delegation urged the Navy to shut down operations at its Red Hill fuel facility immediately. Navy Secretary Carlos Del Toro is on Oahu to commemorate the 80th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. The Navy says petroleum chemicals from the Red Hill well leaked into the Navy's potable water system. Some 93,000 residents use the Navy's water system. They've complained of fuel-like odors and health problems after drinking and bathing with the water. The Board of Water Supply has also shut down its Halava shaft. City officials are afraid it will take in some of the contaminated water from the Red Hill well. The Halava shaft services 20% of Oahu's drinking water. Today on Sunrise, we got an update from Board of Water Supply Program Administrator for Water Quality, Erwin Kawata, and spokesperson Kathleen Pahinui.
I'm going to throw questions out. Whoever feels more qualified to answer them, just take it. I wanted to talk about the Halava well, 20% of the water supply for the island. Do we have enough fresh, clean water for the rest of the state, and how much could this affect that?
As far as right now, yes, we do. We're going to pump our additional, or try to make up the difference with our additional other pumping stations, and continue to monitor the salinity levels very closely. That's currently what we have right now.
Okay, how likely is it that the well was contaminated?
In terms of Halava shaft?
Yeah.
Well, we shut down Halava shaft as a precautionary measure to prevent, any kind of fuel contamination from reaching there. But we know that groundwater is always moving. So when you're pumping a well, what it does is it gets that contamination over to the well faster. But when you stop the pumping, you slow down that particular progress. At the end of the day, what we're concerned about is if the contamination is in the groundwater aquifer, then the well could be shut down almost indefinitely, or until treatment systems are put in place. And that is going to take a long time to do.
But I want to make it abundantly clear that the water that we're serving right now is safe to drink. And as of October 2021, and Erwin's team is out there doing more water quality testing, we have never detected, and Erwin, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've never detected any fuel constituents in our water system.
Okay, Erwin, when you were talking about the supply and whether cutting off this well was going to affect the supply as a whole, you didn't sound overly confident, but I mean, if this must go on for a prolonged period, is there concern that there won't be enough clean water for the island?
For an extended period, there is concern. There's always concern when we have, when we lose 20% of our water capacity, and now we're going to have to try to make it up with our other pump stations. It could get to the point where we may not have enough capacity to maintain current levels of service. And then at that point, we could see requests for water conservation, even mandatory conservation, and moratoriums on water use. Go ahead.
Do you have a length of time, or are we thinking if it goes a couple of weeks, then we have to worry?
Well, for right now, I think for a couple of weeks, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, we will be perfectly fine. Right now, we're in the cooler times of the year. With the rain, it all helps. It helps to reduce water demand on our system. So those kinds of things are going to help. Everybody's kokua to help you reduce the amount of water usage, use only what you need, is also going to help out as well. But when we move into the summertime, when water demands are higher, we need to continue to practice good water conservation measures to reduce the load on the water system. That's going to help extend the water supply and availability of water service into the future.
Now, new COVID-19 travel restrictions began today for those entering the U.S., including returning citizens. John Decker, Hawaii News Now's White House correspondent, joins us now with more. Now, John, what do our viewers need to know about these new travel rules?
I think the main thing that people need to understand is that if you're coming into the U.S. under these new travel rules, you must present a negative COVID test. That test must have been administered within 1 day of your departure. That's regardless of whether you're a U.S. citizen, and it's regardless of whether or not you've been vaccinated. The other thing that also you must keep in mind is that at every airport in the country, that mask mandate is still in place. In fact, it's been extended until the early part of March. President Biden says these are the restrictions that are necessary to make certain that this new variant of COVID doesn't become a problem throughout the country. And this decision was made by the president in consultation with his health advisors.
And are we expecting more travel restrictions in the weeks ahead, perhaps for domestic travel? What are you hearing?
The president has said no, but he has the caveat that this is what's in place right now and things could change. The idea of having a vaccination mandate required for domestic travel has indeed been discussed. I've learned that from various health advisors to the president, including Dr. Anthony Fauci, but it's just been discussed. It's never been seriously considered, and right now, those health advisors who are advising the president say they see no need for that kind of requirement for domestic travel.
All right, Hawaii News Now's White House correspondent, John Decker, thank you so much for that update.
Thank you, Ashley.
Now to the pandemic. The state health department is reporting 90 new COVID infections today. The breakdown by island shows 45 cases on Oahu, Maui, and Kauai reporting 13 each. The Big Island has 12 and 7 residents were diagnosed out of state. Kauai County separately adding 10 more cases. Meanwhile, health officials say while the Omicron variant of COVID-19 is spreading throughout our country, early indications suggest it could be less dangerous than the Delta strain.
And keep in mind, we're still tracking severe weather here in the H&N Digital Center. We just learned Rick Blangiardi, mayor of Honolulu, will be holding a press conference at 1 o'clock. We'll bring that to you live. All right, guys, we got to get to some good news today, please, right?
Yeah.
Kennedy Center's honors last night was held, bringing back some traditions and honoring a Radford High School graduate, Bette Midler. Vladimir Dutier has the story.
I want to officially welcome everybody back to the Kennedy Center.
I'm gonna do all the things for you.
The 44th Kennedy Center Honors return to traditions this year to honor artists for their contributions to American culture.
For any mood or emotional crossroad where you might find yourself, there's a Joni Mitchell song.
The evening featured tributes to singer-songwriter Joni Mitchell.
I wish I had a river I could skate away on.
And also honored opera singer Justino Diaz.
It is for no single performance, but for the collective body of his staggering career that we honor Justino tonight.
And Saturday Night Live creator Lorne Michaels was celebrated and roasted by current and former SNL cast members.
This Kennedy Center honor is a long time coming for Lorne, since he said he would only accept it when J-Lo and Ben got back together.
Did you ever know that you're my hero?
Legendary stage and screen icon Bette Midler is another one of this year's honorees.
She can make us laugh and cry even at the same time. And that is the mark of an artist of the highest caliber.
Songwriter and record producer Berry Gordy, who founded the Motown record label, was also honored. With performances by Stevie Wonder that had the Opera House in a standing ovation. Vladimir Dutier, CBS News, New York.
Well, that looked like a lot of fun.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps all over.
Yeah, Goldie Hawn, I love her too.
Everybody.
Yeah,
so great.
You guys, keep in mind, again, we're tracking severe weather here all day long at H&M with that Kona low that's sweeping across the island chain. We just learned there's still 7,000 people without power on the Big Island. We can expect more outages because this is far from over. That's why you're going to want to download your H&N app. You can have radar just like this at the palm of your hand. So we have so much coverage still ahead. Again, that 1 p.m. press conference coming up with Mayor Rick Blangiardi. And any updates that happen throughout the day, Jennifer Robbins will be in the Weather Center providing them to you as far as alerts go. You guys have a safe afternoon.